1. Introduction. He stands alone in the dark. A mirror in front of him, but he avoids looking. We all carry a shadow. The part of ourselves we hide. The pain we suppress. The guilt we bury. The anger we never express. But here's the truth the Stoics understood long before modern psychology. The shadow doesn't go away when we ignore it. It grows. It tightens its grip in silence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But what if that strength isn't found by pretending to be whole, but by facing what's broken? What if clarity doesn't come from running into the light, but by walking through the darkness? This is not a motivational speech. It's a map that leads not around your pain, but through it. A guide the Stoics used to become unshaken by what life throws their way. Because peace doesn't come from denial. It comes from radical self-honesty. And the moment you stop running is the moment you finally start to see the light. Before we dive into the main content, make sure to subscribe to Legacy of Thinkers so you won't miss any of our valuable videos. 2. Set the context. What is the shadow? We all want to believe we're the good guy in our own story. The kind one, the rational one, the healed one. But deep down, there's a part of us we try to forget. The jealous thought we pretended never happened. The bitterness we swallowed and called strength. The moment of rage we never spoke about again. That part of us, the side we hide, repress, or judge, is what Carl Jung called the shadow. It's not evil. It's not shameful. It's simply the part of us that was never welcomed to the surface. And the longer we push it away, the more power it gains in silence. The Stoics, though they never used the word shadow, knew this truth. Seneca once said, "You must lay bare before yourself the things which cause you fear. You must drag them into the light and face them." Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionless or perfect. It's about becoming whole. And you can't be whole if you're still running from your own reflection. Your shadow contains what you haven't yet healed. But it also contains your potential, your courage, your truth, your voice. When Marcus Aurelius sat alone at night, writing to himself in his journal, he wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was confronting his own contradictions. "You say you are a lover of wisdom," he wrote, "then love your shadow too." In the modern world, we're taught to hide anything that isn't polished or positive. But the Stoics remind us, the parts you bury don't disappear. They simply wait, and sooner or later, they return. Not to ruin you, but to be redeemed. 3. Story. The man Who ran from his shadow. He was the kind of man you wouldn't think twice about. He held doors open for strangers. He never raised his voice. He paid his bills on time. On paper, he had it all: success, discipline, composure. But behind closed doors, he carried a silence that was deafening. He didn't talk about his father, or the heartbreak that tore something loose in him years ago, or the anger he felt when he looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. Instead, he smiled politely. He worked late. He scrolled endlessly. He filled every space with noise, anything but stillness. Because silence was where the shadow lived. He didn't know it then. But he was running, not with his legs, but with his distractions. He ran from his guilt, from the sadness he never named, from the memories that showed up at night and refused to leave. And the more he ran, the more the shadow grew. Some nights, he couldn't sleep, not because of caffeine or emails or screens, but because part of him was tired of hiding. Then came that night. He came home late, dropped his keys on the table, and didn't turn on the lights. He sat on the floor, back against the wall, and just stayed. No music, no phone, no performance, just him. That night, the silence felt different. It wasn't empty, it was honest. For the first time, he didn't resist the memories that came. He didn't push away the regret. He let the grief speak. And it whispered, "You don't have to be okay to be whole." Tears came, not dramatic, not loud, just real. Not because he was weak, but because he had finally stopped pretending to be strong. In the following weeks, something subtle began to shift. He started journaling, not for productivity, but for honesty. He stopped numbing himself with noise. He sat in silence more often. He wasn't trying to fix himself. He was learning to sit beside the parts he used to avoid. He came across a quote by Marcus Aurelius. "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And he realized, the shadow wasn't an obstacle. It was the invitation. It was asking him to stop running, to stop fighting what he felt, and to start listening to the voice that had been buried beneath years of noise and fear. He didn't become a new person overnight. He still had bad days, still made mistakes, but now, he moved with more awareness, more softness, more truth. The light hadn't come from outside. It had always been there, hidden under the dust of everything he hadn't yet faced. That man? He could be anyone. Your neighbor, your brother, you, maybe even me. 4. Stoic Framework. How to embrace the shadow. The Stoic Framework. So how do you actually embrace your shadow? This isn't a metaphor. It's a mindset, a practice. The Stoics didn't write long theories about the shadow, but they faced it every single day. Marcus Aurelius, in his private journals, didn't hide from his weaknesses, he studied them. Epictetus taught that the world doesn't disturb us. Our thoughts about the world do. And so, embracing the shadow, stoically, begins with one principle: radical self-awareness without judgment. Let's break it down into 3 powerful steps. Step 1. Observe without judgment. The Stoics believed that the first battle is not with the world, but with your perception of it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." Now flip that inward. It's not your guilt, your fear, or your pain that harms you. It's the way you judge yourself for having them. So start here. Just watch yourself, without labeling, without fixing, without flinching. When anger rises, observe it. When jealousy whispers, listen. When grief visits, let it speak. The goal isn't to suppress the shadow. The goal is to become aware of it without shame. That's the beginning of mastery. Step 2. Face what you avoid. We all have things we don't want to admit. The mistake that still haunts us. The relationship we stayed in too long. The truth we've buried under performance and perfection. Epictetus said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do." In other words, stop resisting reality. Facing your shadow means leaning into discomfort. It means sitting with guilt without numbing it. Owning your anger without blaming others. Saying out loud, "Yes, I did that. I felt that. I avoided that." Not to punish yourself, but to liberate yourself. The Stoics knew, what you run from owns you. What you face, you can transform. Step 3. Turn pain into power. Pain is not the end. It's the beginning of clarity. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." When you stop hiding your wounds, they stop bleeding. The Stoic path is about using suffering as fuel, not shame. That regret you've carried? Let it become compassion. That failure you replay in your mind? Let it shape your humility. That anger you suppress? Let it point to what needs protection inside you. In the Stoic view, emotions aren't enemies. They're signals. Your shadow isn't there to destroy you. It's there to teach you where you're still unfree. And when you finally learn to sit with your pain, to breathe through it, to learn from it, the shadow no longer owns you. You own it. That's what Stoic strength looks like. Quiet, grounded, unshaken, not because you've never struggled, but because you've made peace with the struggle. 5. Modern applications. How this Stoic practice looks in real life. This isn't just theory. Embracing the shadow, stoically, is something people around us are doing every single day. Quietly, privately, bravely, like the young veteran who came home from war, but never really felt home. Nightmares, guilt, anger, silence. He was told to move on. Stay strong. Forget the past. But he couldn't. For a while, he tried to outrun the shadow through alcohol, isolation, pretending, until one day, in the quiet of a support group, he finally said aloud what had haunted him. And instead of being rejected, he was met with stillness. Then a nod, then a hand on his shoulder. He didn't fix everything that night, but he stopped hiding. Today, he teaches meditation to other veterans, men and women who are learning. Like him, that facing your pain doesn't weaken you. It humbles you. It frees you. Or consider the woman who built a perfect life on the outside, career, marriage, Instagram-worthy vacations. But every night, after her kids went to sleep, she cried in the bathroom so no one would hear. Not because she was broken, but because she had spent years avoiding who she really was. One day, a friend gave her a journal and said, "Write as if no one will ever read it." And in those pages, she didn't write perfect words. She wrote angry ones, ugly ones, honest ones. That's when something shifted. She began therapy. She began choosing what was true over what looked good. And slowly, she stopped chasing light outside herself and began uncovering it within. These aren't dramatic Hollywood stories. These are your neighbors, your friends, maybe even you. And here's the beautiful, quiet truth. You don't have to wait for a rock bottom. You don't need a dramatic breakdown. You can start today by practicing what the Stoics knew. That peace begins where resistance ends. That your pain isn't a prison, it's a doorway. And that the shadow you fear the most might just be the part of you that's been waiting to come home. 6. Closing reflection. The brightest light always casts the darkest shadow. But the shadow isn't the enemy. It's a sign that something real is standing in the light. We spend so much of our lives trying to edit ourselves into perfection. Filtering, hiding, controlling, when maybe, the peace we're chasing isn't found in being flawless, but in being fully seen. The Stoics didn't teach avoidance. They taught courage, to sit with discomfort, to confront fear, to make peace with the parts of ourselves that don't look good, but are deeply human. And maybe that's where strength is born. Not from being untouched by life, but from being transformed by it. So if you're carrying a shadow, and we all are, know this: it's not the shadow that makes you unworthy. It's what you do with it that defines you. You don't need to fight it. You just need to stop running. Because sometimes, when you stop chasing the light, it finds you. 7. Call to action. If this message found you at the right moment, maybe it's time to stop hiding. Take one quiet minute today. Sit with yourself. No phone, no filters, just you. Ask, what part of me have I been afraid to see? And if this reflection helped you breathe a little deeper, share it with someone else who might need it. Subscribe Legacy of Thinkers Chanel for more stories like this, because sometimes, all it takes is one quiet voice to remind you, you're not alone, and you're already enough.